Hi there, it's Nicole here today, and I have a rainbow tri-window card featuring the Mama Elephant, Little Boy, and Little Girl agenda. These are brand new stamp sets for June 2017, and what's awesome is they work so well together. If you were a fan of the Little Cat and Little Dog agenda, these are kind of the same idea. They're little teeny tiny images and are so fun when grouped together. To start, I did lay out my images. I have my tri-window background. This is also a new die for June 2017. And it gives me a good idea of how many of these little kids I can use in my card. I kind of always like to lay everything out, make sure everything's going to fit before I go ahead and stamp. You can always add to it if you need to. I've got 9 images. There's going to be 1 in that top window with a stamped greeting, and then 4 in the next window. And then I did 4 in the last window, but I'm actually going to stamp an additional little image when I'm completely done. And she's going to be kind of smack dab in the middle. So that's one of those areas I was talking about. When you get to actually putting the card together, you might find that you need an additional image or something like that, and that's really easy to do. I went ahead and kind of laid them out in my MISTI the way they're going to go on the card so I could remember exactly which order I had them in. I also find this great if you need to stamp the images one on top of another. Then there are some little greetings that come in both the Little Girl and Little Boy agenda stamp sets that are fantastic for customizing the signs they're holding. While this isn't going to be the only greeting on my card, I think it adds to the feeling of this thank you card. I've got some hello, hi, love you, and another thank you. Then I'm going to color everything with Copic markers. These are stamped on some Nina smooth white cardstock. Using the Lawn Fawn Jet Black ink, which is a great ink for Copic coloring. It's not going to bleed with the alcohol ink markers. And then I'm simply going to go through and color them very assembly line style. My thinking when coloring these was that I wanted their outfits to reflect kind of the rainbow. So I'm going to go from the pinks and the reds to oranges, yellows, greens, aqua, blue, and then finally purple. Now I have more images than color really that I'm going to use, so I'm going to end up kind of doubling some of the color in a way. So a lot of them will have there'll be a repeat, I guess I want to say. That final line of the card is going to have some repetition of color, at least in the last 2 images, where I'm going to try to use all of the colors again, and I'll show you what I mean here in a little bit. So I did all skin first, all hair next, very quick coloring. These are very small images. I would recommend not using a ton of different colors when it gets to coloring the clothes. 2 to 3 shades per color group is probably going to be plenty. And I apologize, I can see my hand is in the way. When I videoed this, I tried not to do that, and I don't think I was successful with all of the areas. They're just so small. I probably needed to hold it at the camera at just a little bit different angle. Or hold my paper at a different angle. This is much better for the dark black hair. Now once the hair and the skin is all colored, it's time to do that rainbow coloring like I was talking about. And that is going to be achieved by starting with my pinks. I kind of just tried to go in order. I found that helped me control what colors I was using a lot easier, simply because it can be kind of confusing. This is one of the reasons I stamped everything in order. Now, I did have to restamp the little girl holding the high sign, so I'm going to need to remember to go back. That's why I finally crossed out the one in the bottom row. I restamped her because the high was kind of at an angle and I didn't like it. It wasn't terrible, it just wasn't great. So I just stamped her up in that open space up top. Starting with my pinks, I've got RV00, 52 and 55 for her dress. Because these images are so small, there could be a little bleeding of the colors into areas that maybe you want to keep white, like maybe the buttons and collars of the girls' dresses. I'll show you a little trick for fixing that here in a little bit. The sign she's holding is red. Then the next little girl on the next line is going to have a red dress. Here's where I used a white pen to fix those buttons. I'm going to fix a bunch of them here in a little bit. The next girl's dress is orange, so YR04 and 09. Her sign's going to be yellow. I kind of tried to do an accent in the color and an outfit in the color, if that makes sense. I'm also going to do a yellow balloon here for the other girl. The little boy's shirt's going to be yellow. His overalls are going to be green with YG 01 and 25. The yellows are Y11 and Y08. For reference, the colors are listed across the bottom of the screen here as well. I went ahead and did all the shoes in C9. The aqua dress is BG11 and BG13. Pulled in a little pink and aqua here to just give a few more colors in the rainbow gamut. There is a green balloon then. Next, some blue overalls, and I accidentally colored in his sleeve of his shirt with blue. To fix that, I actually colored in the other sleeve of his shirt blue and then just went over him with the colorless blender, which is going to kind of push a little bit of that ink out. So his shirt's going to look light blue, and then the overalls are a little bit darker blue. Filled in that last heart balloon with some pink as well. His sign is going to be green, kind of going back to that green color from up above and adding a green accent. The next little girl's sign is going to be aqua, so there's an aqua accent. And her dress is going to be purple, but you're not going to see a lot of her dress because she's holding the sign in front of herself. And to fix that, I am going to add another little girl, and her dress, she's not holding anything. Her dress will be completely purple, and that really pulls in more of that purple color into my rainbow. Here's where I'm going to go ahead and just fill in with all my additional colors. So he's got blue overalls, a red shirt, holding a pink sign. And the final little girl is going to have an orange sign and a yellow dress. And that's really going to just finish that off. I'm going to take the coordinating little boy and little girl agenda dies and die cut all of these. I've also die cut a panel with that tri-window die from Bristol Smooth cardstock, and holding the inside pieces and the frame together, I'm going to ink this up in rainbow color. It can be a little tricky holding those rainbow or the inside inserts in place. I probably should have put a little temporary adhesive down. But my background's going to be in rainbow color as well. So I've started with spun sugar and candied apple at the first area. In fact, the only color I'm not going to add to the rainbow background is purple, and mostly that's just because I felt like there wasn't room for it. About 2 shades per area on this card is about all that really I thought worked very well. So it goes spun sugar, candied apple, spiced marmalade, squeezed lemonade, and I'm going back and blending each time to make sure that I get a nice seamless transition. And finally, twisted citron and salty ocean. Right now I just have the spiced marmalade and squeezed lemonade. I'm getting ready to add the squeezed lemonade here for that second section. And I feel like a lot of the orange kind of disappeared. Go back and add a little bit more, blend out that line so it's more seamless. The twisted citron. And this makes for a beautiful rainbow background that's going to coordinate really nicely with these little boy and girl agenda images. To keep my fingers out of the ink, I'm using the edge of my cardstock I used to die cut those kids. Hold that down again, pull in that blue color, blend it really nice up into the twisted citron. Once I have all of the color added, I am going to spritz this whole thing with water from a distress sprayer and then blot it dry with a paper towel. This is immediately going to add some nice interest. Now remember to get a clean area of your paper towel when you get to lighter areas so that you don't accidentally pick up some red ink and move it to a lighter area like the yellow, which is what I did right there. I spritzed it again with water trying to blot a little bit of that away, but I'll have to cover up part of that with one of my images. I'm going to go ahead and take my background now when it's dry and put it in my MISTI, just that top section, and I'm going to stamp my greetings. When working with my greetings, I knew I wanted to do a thank you type greeting, so I tried to choose greetings from my stash that fit this area. And I went ahead and picked up a greeting from the Thank You Wishes stamp set first. It was a phrase. And then I picked a thank you greeting to fit with it. And the thank you from the MEPIX'S favorites was actually what fit the best for this particular design. So I stamped the thank you with Lawn Fawn Lobster red ink, and then the rest of that greeting from the Thank You Wishes using a Simon Says stamp black ink. I'm going to put some adhesive all over the front of a top fold card base and replace that with my rainbow frame, and then go ahead and add all of my inserts to completely fill this background. And then starting at the top, I am just going to take some Zotz Bling glue dots and add all of these little images along the bottom edge of the frame. Kind of helps to lay them out first so you know where you want them to go so you get your spacing right. I also suggest a lot of times maybe you want to start in the middle and work your way out. Here's kind of where I realized that bottom row could use another little girl, so I will go ahead and add an additional image here. You'll see in just a second. I just love these. I think they are so cute. There's so many fun ways to use these. Just really adorable. And holding the little signs and little arrows that you can customize are really fun. So here is that other little girl in the purple dress that I was talking about. Finish off with my final two images. Once these two little guys are in place, I'm going to do some finishing touches. And that's where I'm going to take a black glaze pen and go over the eyes of the images to really make the eyes pop. Because these are so small, you really just kind of barely touch the black pen to the eyes so you don't get a huge glob of black ink. I'm taking a white pen and going over the buttons and hems on any of the dresses where the Copic colors may be bled into those areas, because you don't want if for that contrast. Or you can add another color if you want to. I just kind of like the white, so I went ahead and stayed with that. You can see just quickly touching the black to the eyes. You can also add black to the buttons on the little boy's overalls. I'm using the Wink of Stella clear glitter brush pen over the balloons and the signs and the arrows. This is going to give them a nice little touch of glitter and glimmer. Nice little finishing touch. Then I'm going to go over any of those same areas with glossy accents, just a really nice thin smooth layer. A precision tip is going to make this so much easier because they're really small images. But that way they'll have kind of a glossy, glittery finish. Helps them stand out a little bit. I'm not going to have a ton of embellishment on this card because there's already a lot going on, and I want the rainbow of it to really be the focal point. So adding some nice little finishing touches to the stamped images helps them stand out. Once that's done, I'm going to take a rainbow assortment of Pretty Pink Posh sequins. And again, I'm not using a ton of these. I'm using only about one color per color family, going from pinks to reds, oranges, yellows, green, and then blue throughout the card design. There's 8 sequins here, I think, total. But that just gives a nice little finishing touch, a little bit of sparkle throughout the card. I'm adding these with Zot's Bling glue dots. And that is going to finish up this tri-window rainbow card featuring the little boy and little girl agenda from Mama Elephant. Thanks for joining me today for this colorful card. The supplies I've used to create this card are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more videos featuring Mama Elephant stamps and dies that you might be interested in. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.